I discovered my wife was secretly having an affair with my brother. So I cut off contact with them. My name is Nathan Brooks. For almost 9 years, I thought I had a good marriage. Not perfect. No marriage is perfect. But good. Stable. Real. I had a wife named Allison, a house in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio, and a small contracting business I had built from nothing. I wasn't rich. I wasn't famous. But I was proud. Proud of my work. Proud of my home. Proud of the life I thought I had built with the woman I loved. And more than anything, I was proud of the fact that I had always tried to be a good man. A good husband. A good son. A good brother. That last one would become the biggest joke of my life. Because the brother I spent years helping, defending, and forgiving was secretly sleeping with my wife. And my family expected me to simply get over it. My brother's name was Caleb. He was 2 years younger than me. Growing up, Caleb was everything I wasn't. He was charming. Popular. Funny. The kind of guy who could make a terrible decision and still have everyone laughing 5 minutes later. I was different. Quiet. Responsible. The one who fixed problems. The one who worked while Caleb partied. The one our parents called whenever Caleb needed money, help, or another second chance. And I gave it to him. Every time. Because he was my brother. Because my parents always said, family takes care of family. I believed them. For 36 years, I believed them. Until I learned that in my family, that rule only applied when Caleb needed something. Never when I did. Allison and Caleb had always gotten along. At first, I liked that. My wife fit into my family easily. She laughed at Caleb's jokes. He complimented her cooking. They teased each other during holidays. Nothing seemed strange. Nothing seemed inappropriate. If anything, I thought it was nice. My brother and my wife weren't awkward around each other. That felt like a blessing. Looking back, I realize it was never comfort. It was familiarity. A kind of familiarity I should have questioned much earlier. The first sign came during Thanksgiving. My parents hosted dinner at their house. Everyone was there. My mother, Diane. My father, Robert, Caleb. Allison. A few cousins. An aunt and uncle. The usual family crowd. Everything felt normal until I walked into the kitchen and saw Allison and Caleb standing too close together near the pantry. They weren't touching. They weren't kissing. They weren't doing anything obvious. But when I entered, they separated too quickly. Allison immediately picked up a towel and started wiping a counter that was already clean. Caleb grabbed a beer from the fridge and smiled. "Hey, Nate," that was all. Just 2 words. But something about his face bothered me. He looked nervous. Caleb never looked nervous. I asked if everything was okay. Allison laughed. "Of course. Your brother was just being annoying." Caleb grinned. "That's my job." Everyone moved on. So I did too. That was my mistake. Over the next few months, small things kept happening. Allison started keeping her phone face down. Caleb suddenly visited more often. Whenever I came home early, Allison seemed surprised. Sometimes I noticed the faint smell of Caleb's cologne in my house. When I asked about it once, Allison said he had stopped by to borrow tools. That sounded believable. Caleb was always borrowing something. Tools. Money. Favors. Time. Trust. Especially trust. Then came the night everything changed. It was a Friday. I was supposed to be out of town overnight for a job site inspection in Cincinnati. The plan was simple. Drive there in the afternoon. Meet the client. Stay at a hotel. Return Saturday morning. But halfway there, the client called and canceled. A permit issue had delayed the entire inspection. I turned around. I almost called Allison to tell her I was coming home early. For some reason, I didn't. Maybe instinct stopped me. Maybe God did. Maybe the truth was tired of hiding. I pulled into my driveway a little after 8. There was a truck parked 2 houses down. A black Ford. Caleb's truck. At first, I didn't think much of it. Then I noticed our bedroom light was on. The rest of the house was dark. My stomach tightened. I sat in the driveway for almost a full minute. Not moving. Not breathing normally. Trying to convince myself I was being ridiculous. Maybe Caleb had stopped by. Maybe Allison needed help with something. Maybe my parents had sent him over. Maybe there was an explanation. There was. Just not one I wanted. I unlocked the front door quietly. The house was silent. Too silent. I walked inside. Set my bag down. Took off my shoes. Then I heard a sound upstairs. A laugh. Allison's laugh. Soft. Breathless. The kind of laugh I hadn't heard from her in months. My chest went cold. I climbed the stairs slowly. Every step felt heavier than the last. Halfway up, I heard a man's voice. Caleb's voice. Then silence. Then Allison whispered something I couldn't understand. I reached the bedroom door. It was slightly open. Just enough. Just enough for me to see everything. My wife was in our bed. With my brother, not talking. Not joking, not accidentally too close. In our bed, the bed I had bought. The bedroom I had painted. The house I had worked 12-hour days to afford. And my brother was there like he belonged. For a few seconds, I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even feel anger yet. Only shock. Pure, frozen shock. Then Caleb looked up. His face changed instantly. Allison turned. Saw me. And screamed my name. Nathan. Like I was the one who had done something wrong. Caleb jumped out of bed. Bro, listen, that word did it. Bro, he had the nerve to call me bro. I don't remember crossing the room. I only remember grabbing him by the collar and shoving him backward so hard he hit the dresser. Allison screamed again. Caleb raised his hands. Calm down. Calm down. Those two words almost made me lose control. But somehow, I stopped. Not because he deserved mercy. Because I refused to become the kind of man they could blame. I stepped back. Looked at both of them. And said one sentence. Get out of my house. Allison started crying. Nathan, please, it wasn't. I turned to her. Don't. My voice was so quiet it scared even me. Do not insult me with an explanation right now. Caleb grabbed his clothes. Mumbled something about talking later. I laughed once. Coldly, there is no later. He looked at me like he didn't believe me. That was the first time I realized how little he understood. Caleb had spent his whole life being forgiven. He thought this would be no different. He thought I would cool down. He thought our parents would smooth things over. He thought family meant he could betray me and still keep access to my life. He was wrong. This time, he had gone too far. After Caleb left, Allison tried to approach me. I stepped away. She cried harder. It was a mistake. I looked at the bed. Then at her. A mistake doesn't park 2 houses down. Her face went pale. A mistake doesn't happen in my bedroom while I'm supposed to be out of town. She had no answer. Because there was no answer. Only betrayal. I slept in my truck that night. Not because I had nowhere to go. Because I couldn't stay inside that house. Every room felt contaminated. Every memory felt fake. I sat in the driveway until sunrise, staring through the windshield, replaying everything. The kitchen at Thanksgiving. The phone face down. The sudden visits. The cologne. The whispers, the looks. It had all been there. Right in front of me. And I had refused to see it. Because trusting people is easier than admitting they are capable of destroying you. By morning, my phone had exploded. Allison called 17 times. Caleb called 9. My mother called 6. My father sent one text. Come over, we need to talk as a family. As a family. I stared at those words for a long time. Then I understood. Caleb had already gone to them. He had already started shaping the story. And now they wanted a meeting. Not to support me. Not to ask if I was okay. To manage the damage. To protect Caleb. Again. I went anyway. Not because I wanted reconciliation. Because I wanted to hear exactly how far they were willing to go. When I arrived, everyone was already there. My parents sat on the couch. Caleb sat in the armchair, looking tired and dramatic. Allison sat beside my mother, holding tissues. My wife, sitting beside my mother, being comforted. After sleeping with my brother, that image told me everything I needed to know. My mother stood when I walked in. Nathan, honey, I raised one hand. Don't. She froze. My father cleared his throat. We all need to stay calm. I looked at him. Did you tell Caleb that? No answer. Of course. Then my mother said the sentence that ended my relationship with her. I know you're hurt, but you can't destroy this family over one mistake. One mistake. There it was again. The same insult wrapped in softer words. I slowly looked around the room. At my crying wife. At my guilty brother. At my disappointed parents. And I realized they had already decided what my role was. I was supposed to be the reasonable one. The forgiving one. The strong one. The one who swallowed pain so everyone else could stay comfortable. Not this time. I looked at Caleb. How long? He looked away. Allison began sobbing. My mother said, Nathan. Don't do this. I ignored her. How long? Caleb rubbed his face. Man, it wasn't like that. I stepped closer. How long? Finally, Allison whispered. 8 months. The room went silent. 8 months. Not one night. Not a mistake. 8 months. 8 months of lying. 8 months of laughing in my house. 8 months of family dinners. 8 months of sleeping beside me after sleeping with him. Something inside me went completely still. I nodded slowly. Then turned around and walked to the door. My father stood. Where are you going? I looked back. Home. To pack her things. Allison jumped up. Nathan, please. My mother grabbed my arm. You are not thinking clearly. I looked at her hand until she let go. Then I said, for the first time in years, I am thinking clearly. And I left. That afternoon, I changed the locks, packed Allison's clothes into boxes, placed them in the garage, called an attorney, separated my accounts, froze the shared credit cards, canceled every automatic payment connected to her personal expenses. By sunset, I had done more to protect myself in one day than I had in 9 years. Allison kept texting. Caleb kept calling. My mother sent long messages about forgiveness. My father sent short messages about embarrassment. Not one person asked how I was doing. Not one. That told me everything. 3 days later, Allison came to the house. She looked exhausted. No makeup. Red eyes. Shaking hands. She stood on the porch, crying. I love you. I almost believed her. Almost. Then I remembered her in our bed with Caleb. And the feeling disappeared. No, I said. You love the life I gave you. She cried harder. Please don't throw away 9 years. I looked at her calmly. You threw them away 8 months ago. She had no answer. Again. A week later, my parents showed up. I didn't let them inside. My mother looked offended. My father looked angry. We need to fix this, he said. I crossed my arms. There is no fixing this. My mother began crying. Caleb is your brother. And I was his brother when he slept with my wife. She flinched. But only for a second. Then came the real reason they were there. People are starting to ask questions, she said. There it was. Not pain. Not concern. Reputation. That was what mattered. Not my marriage. Not my trust. Not my life. Their image. My father lowered his voice. You don't need to tell everyone the details. I stared at him. You mean I should protect him? He made a terrible mistake. For 8 months? Silence. With my wife? More silence. In my house? My father looked away. My mother whispered. You don't have to be cruel. I laughed. I didn't do this. Then I stepped back and closed the door. That was the last time I spoke to them for a very long time. In the weeks that followed, everything collapsed. The divorce process began. Allison tried to delay it. Then tried to negotiate. Then tried to blame me. She said I worked too much. She said I was emotionally distant. She said Caleb made her feel seen. My attorney looked at the messages and laughed without humor. Because the evidence was overwhelming. Hotel receipts. Deleted texts, photos, security footage from a restaurant. Even messages where they joked about me being too trusting. Every lie had a timestamp. Every betrayal had a record. Caleb tried to apologize once. He sent a long email. He said he had been depressed. He said he envied my life. He said things just happened. But the line that made me delete the message was this. I hope one day you can understand that I never meant to hurt you. That was the problem with people like Caleb. They didn't think betrayal counted if hurting you wasn't their main goal. But damage doesn't disappear just because someone claims it wasn't intentional. He chose it. Every day. For 8 months. So I made my choice too. I cut them all off. Allison. Caleb. My mother. My father. Anyone who defended them. Anyone who told me to be the bigger person. Anyone who said blood was thicker than betrayal. Gone. Blocked. Removed. Erased. I didn't announce it dramatically. I didn't write a public post. I didn't scream. I simply disappeared from their lives. And for the first time in years, they had no access to me. No money. No favors. No emotional labor. No second chances. Nothing. At first, they thought I was bluffing. Caleb kept texting from different numbers. My mother sent relatives to talk to me. My father left voicemails telling me I was embarrassing the family. Allison sent pictures from our wedding day. I deleted everything. Not because it didn't hurt, because it did. It hurt every day. But healing requires discipline. And sometimes discipline means refusing to reopen a door just because someone is crying outside it. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept the house. Allison left with very little. Not because I was cruel. Because she had violated the prenup she once insisted was unnecessary. She moved into a small apartment across town. Caleb helped her at first. That lasted 3 months. Then he left her too. I heard about it through a cousin. Apparently, their relationship wasn't as romantic once it came with bills, consequences, and public shame. Caleb didn't want a real life with her. He wanted the thrill of taking mine. Once he got exposed, the thrill vanished. A year passed. Then too. I rebuilt quietly. I sold the house. Bought a smaller place near a lake. Expanded my business. Started therapy. Learned how to sleep again. Learned how to trust my own instincts again. Learned that peace is not loneliness. Sometimes peace is what happens when the wrong people no longer have access to you. Then, almost 3 years after that night, my mother showed up at my office. She looked older. Smaller. Tired. My receptionist called me and said there was a woman asking for me. I almost told her to send my mother away. But curiosity won. I let her in. She walked into my office holding a purse with both hands, like she needed something to grip. "Nathan," she said softly. I didn't stand. "Why are you here?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Your father is sick." I felt something in my chest tighten. Not love exactly. Not hatred either. Something complicated. Something old. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. She nodded. "He wants to see you." I looked out the window. For a long moment, I said nothing. Then I asked, "Does he want to see me, or does he want forgiveness before it's too late?" My mother started crying. That was answer enough. She said they regretted everything. She said they should have supported me. She said Caleb had ruined the family. That made me look at her. "No," I said. "Caleb didn't ruin the family alone." She flinched. "You helped." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I know." I waited. For the first time in my life, my mother had no defense ready. No excuse. No lecture about family. Just regret. But regret is not a time machine. I leaned back in my chair. Where was this apology when I was standing in my own living room after finding my wife with my brother? She lowered her head. Where was it when you comforted her instead of me? She sobbed. Where was it when Dad told me not to tell people the details because it would embarrass the family? No answer. Where was it when I needed parents? Still no answer. Finally, she whispered, "Can you ever forgive us?" I thought about that for a long time. Then I answered honestly. I already did. Her eyes lifted. Hope flashed across her face. So I finished. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. The hope vanished. I stood and walked to the door. My mother didn't move. I looked back at her. "I don't hate you. I don't wish you harm. But I built a peaceful life without you, and I'm not giving that up." She cried silently. I opened the door. And she understood. The conversation was over. My father died 7 months later. I didn't attend the funeral. Some people judged me for that. That's fine. They didn't live my life. They didn't stand in that bedroom. They didn't sit in that living room while everyone protected the man who betrayed them. They didn't spend years learning that family can be the knife and still expect you to apologize for bleeding. I sent flowers. No note. That was enough. As for Caleb, he lost almost everything. His job. Most of his friends. His relationship with Allison. His place in the family. The golden boy finally became just a man with consequences. He tried reaching out many times. I never responded. There was nothing left to say. Allison remarried eventually. At least that's what I heard. I hope she changed. I really do. Not for me. For whoever came next. Because people who destroy others without accountability usually carry that destruction into every relationship they enter. But that was no longer my problem. People sometimes ask if cutting off contact was too extreme. They say family is family. They say forgiveness heals. They say life is short. And maybe they're right about some of that. But here is what I learned. Family is not a free pass to betray you. Forgiveness does not require returning to the place that broke you. And life is too short to keep explaining your pain to people who benefited from causing it. I lost a wife. I lost a brother. I lost my parents. At least, that's what people say, but the truth is different. I didn't lose them, I discovered them. And once I discovered who they really were, I chose myself. For the first time in my life. And I have never regretted it.